This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. The boss of Taswater has taken the extraordinary step of addressing the Parliament with claims the Treasurer has smeared his professional reputation. Miles Hampton used a citizen's right of reply to respond to the remarks as the government's Taswater takeover clears another hurdle.
Just a day after the Taswater takeover legislation passed the lower house, the Water Corporation's top boss moved to restore his reputation, following remarks made by the Treasurer in May.
He did use the word duplicitous, which is hardly a kind and generous word, but there are a range of other things that he said.
A citizen's right of reply was read into the record 2 months after being requested.
If the Minister had made his remarks out of Parliament, I certainly would have taken advice on the opportunity available to me to take legal action.
The Treasurer hardly apologetic as the government strong hands a Taswater takeover.
They are the problems that we have to face up to, and they are there under Mr Hampton's own hand.
I've never seen this behaviour in the past. It is incredibly distressing, obviously, for Mr Hampton, but it says a really concerning thing about this government, that they are prepared to go to any lengths.
Tomorrow, the government's controversial Mount Wellington cable car legislation will be debated, with a particular focus on the state opposition. It's amid dividing perspectives on the development within the Labor Party.
It is a very confused position that they've presented on the cable car, and I think it's another example of them equivocating and hedging their bets.
We don't have an issue with alternate methods of transport to the mountain, including a cable car.
A glimmer of hope the Greens will hold on to with a potential vote against the party line.
If this happens and a Labor MP is allowed to vote according to their conscience on the cable car, we're hoping that Labor MPs with a conscience will vote against the monopoly deed.
We'll vote in the same way that we do on every piece of legislation, and that is as a collective.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Tassal is halfway through stocking its controversial new Hampton Bay fish farm. The company is today spruiking the project's job creation, but it's still attracting fierce opposition, with another protest planned this weekend.
Workers opened the valves, sending hundreds of fish into their new home at Hampton Bay. It's one of 3 pens set up on the site as Tassal begins growing salmon.
We're over halfway with bringing our 17 new class of fish to sea now. We're into our 3rd pen at the moment, so we should be done over the next couple of weeks, and then it'll be on to growing them up to harvest size.
Tassal says this project has delivered badly needed jobs in the area for people like Matt the diver. He's one of 18 people now working here, and he says before, employment opportunities were hard to come by.
I was travelling 1,600 kilometres a week. Now I can work 5 minutes from home to work out in beautiful water. It's pretty epic.
I would say that a good 90% of the community, the people that we know around here and that we've spoken to, are happy with the development.
But this project continues to stir controversy. Opponents have released this footage saying it shows humpback whales off Triabunna this afternoon. They're also concerned about endangered southern right whales.
That's where they go, and having an industrial fish farm right in the way of where they love going isn't going to help them recover. They're an endangered species.
We've put on extra precautionary systems, so sonar detection. If any whale is seen within the range, equipment has to come to a standstill.
There are currently 3 pens like this on the lease that will eventually ramp up to 28, although there's no set time frame.
So we anticipate to have around 800,000 fish on this farm, 28 pens in total.
But opponents have a warning for Tassal.
The fight's just beginning. Now we're really ramping up. The fight is absolutely just beginning, and we're in it for the long haul.
Hampton Bay is still making waves with another flotilla protest planned this weekend. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania Police has been searching for an alleged offender evading authorities in the state's northwest. The driver of a grey Holden Commodore is wanted for assistance on a number of outstanding matters. The vehicle was last seen in the Wynyard area. Police say there is no risk of harm to the public, asking anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. A Devonport man shot and killed during a murder-suicide in 2011 has been recognised nationally for his bravery. The late Benjamin Ahern was today posthumously given a Star of Courage award. In a statement, his family said Ben paid the ultimate sacrifice and lost his life in his efforts to save others. We're so pleased and proud his extreme bravery has been recognised. Mr Ahern died on October 8, 2011 after going to assist a female friend who had been involved in a domestic violence assault. Mr Ahern was the only Tasmanian recognised in the National Bravery Awards. Authorities have seized 158 objects believed to be Tasmanian Aboriginal stone tools. Some of them were allegedly listed for sale online, with the price tag hundreds of dollars each. The objects were found at a Sydney property in a joint operation with federal and interstate authorities.
It is a very serious offence, and the penalties are actually quite significant now, up to nearly $800,000 for the offence of offering Tasmanian artefacts for sale.
Charges are being considered. The world's first multi-million-dollar commercial-scale rock lobster hatchery is expected to be built in Tasmania. It comes after UTAS struck a deal with aquaculture manufacturer PFG Group to turn its latest research into a global operation.
For the past 15 years, scientists at the University of Tasmania's Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies have been researching the complex life cycle of rock lobsters. Now they believe they've got the knowledge to produce the species in commercial-scale hatcheries.
The way that we do it, we provide oceanic type water and essentially clean food.
To make the vision a reality, UTAS has partnered with Tasmanian manufacturer PFG Group.
Where we go from here is working with IMS to finalise the research. We will then construct the world's first juvenile hatchery here in Tasmania and then look at grey-out facilities around the world.
A Hobart-based hatchery is expected to cost $10 million. The company says it could be constructed within 3 years and anticipates it could start commercial production by 2021.
By providing a farm product like this, you'll be able to target, appropriate markets and bring your product onto the market at the time that, suits.
The fact that we can now produce lobster in a closed-loop system on land without having to increasingly remove organisms from the wild in order to satisfy demand, that's the moment in history. Nobody else has been able to complete.
Scientists don't believe a hatchery would reduce crayfish prices. Monika Dadson at Southern Cross News.
Emergency crews are on the scene of a chemical spill on Hobart's waterfront this evening. An incident unfolded on board the Windward Bound at midday, with a battery exploding as the crew tried to start an engine.
It's released all its contents of acid and chemical reactions taking place. Hydrogen sulphide's been released. So we've got a combination of hydrogen sulphide gas and also the sulphuric acid, which is down in the bilge, in a confined space.
Emergency services have cordoned off an area near the Elizabeth Street Pier as they work to clean up the ship without spilling chemicals into the harbour. East Coast and Derwent Valley landowners are being urged to clear their properties ahead of what's expected to be a busy bushfire season. Emergency service personnel today heard bushfires could start as early as next month, and there's an above-average threat from Binalong Bay to Dover.
As usual, if you haven't done your clearing around your properties, we need you to remove those fine fuels. So anything smaller than a pencil, we need it to go. So get it out of the gutters, clear around your home so you've got a good clearance around your home of about 30 metres.
Summer campers are advised to be well prepared and know exit routes in case of fires.
We ask that people don't leave campfires unattended. In fact, it's illegal to do so. And that when they do leave the area, that they put their campfire out.
Some walking tracks and camping grounds may also need to be closed during summer due to bushfire risk. Military hardware used in overseas conflicts is travelling across the state in a recruitment drive for the Defence Force. The star of the show, a former Tasmanian student at the controls of an ADF helicopter, touching down at his old school.
From desert storms in foreign lands to lush school ovals on the Apple Isle. This is a very different military campaign. The ADF dispatching a Eurocopter AS-350 along with this light armoured vehicle so students can learn about life in the army from those who were once in their shoes.
Probably chose aviation back when I was about 10 years old, Devonport Air Show. I'm a local Tassie boy, so the F-111 flew over and I was basically in love from that point onwards.
The defence display allowing students to see from the pilot's perspective.
They love asking where the gun is. We always tell them it's that silver thing out of the front. We don't have any weapons on this one though.
The Heavy Duty Roadshow precedes the Army's Careers Expo, being held in Hobart this Friday and Saturday. The ADF claims to offer 250 different types of jobs.
We're certainly looking for people that enjoy a challenge.
Some were already convinced, having signed up to recruitment programs after previous visits by the ADF.
And after they'd left, I went, that's what I want to do.
Really helpful in sort of helping you choose where to go, what to do.
Then liftoff.
Known as battle budgies, helicopters like this one were deployed during the Gulf War in the early 90s. Now they're used for training exercises and exhibitions like this one here today.
The team touching down again at Launceston Church Grammar, where pilot Ben Flood went to school, earning a warm welcome and another class of curious eyes. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
More Tasmanian businesses are being encouraged to expand into new international markets. McHenry Distillery is one local business already benefiting from the state government's new market expansion program.
We're able to actually go to Japan, Taiwan. We now actually export to 4 markets, Germany, the UK, as well as Japan and Taiwan.
Another round of grants is now available. Businesses can apply for up to $7,000 in assistance. Christmas is often described as the most joyful time of the year, but for many, December 25th can be lonely. To ensure Tasmanians aren't left out, the Launceston City Community Christmas has been launched for the 2nd year. Hosted by 5 charities, the Christmas Day event will be held at the Albert Hall and includes a free lunch and activities.
And Christmas is a time where we really want to share and to be with other people. So just the fact that you can come together at Christmas time and have a lovely lunch, and it's great.
Those wanting to attend or volunteer should contact a hosting charity. Now we're going to take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market surrendered its early gains to close relatively steady as investors practice caution ahead of US inflation data and Australian jobs figures out later in the week. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 2.1 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 80.31 US cents and just under 67 euro cents.
Back home, and the state's best footballers have been rewarded for their form this season, with 22 players named in the TSL Team of the Year. After finishing the season on top of the ladder, North Launceston dominates the list with 5 players and a head coach making the cut. After one of the closest seasons in recent times, the selection panel had their work cut out for them this year.
I think it's a hallmark of the quality of the competition when for a number of hours the selectors stewed over a number of players in different positions.
Not many surprises down back, with Jason Bailey, Jordan Arnold, Josh McGuinness and Jay Foon no strangers to representative honours. Recently named the competition's rising star, James Holmes makes his Team of the Year debut, as does Mitch Carter following his first season in the TSL.
What some new challenges for me. Come across here as one of the older guys on the side, so found myself filling a new role and sort of taking a few guys under my wing and showing them the way.
Slotting into the centre position, Braden Webb was named captain. Speedsters Nat Franklin and Reece Mott joined him in the middle. Alex Lee and Brody Palfreman were awarded for breakout seasons with the Bombers and the Blues, with Team of the Year vice-captain Brad Cox-Goodyear rounding out the on-ball spots.
Everyone's more about the team success, but if it comes, it comes, and obviously you've got to take it in your stride, but yeah.
Thor Boscott and Tom Couch line up across half-forward flank. Dylan Riley and Trent Standen were solid in the pockets all season. Widely regarded as having the best hands in the league, Tom Bennett beat out some stiff competition for the centre half-forward spot, and Jay Bowden was never in doubt as the other key target.
Jay picked himself as the leading goal kicker in the competition at full forward, but centre half forward was tough too. I thought Mitch Thorpe, Zach Burt were both certainly discussed and debated.
In the coach's box, Darren Winter and Jeremy Webberley were given the roles of assistants to Tom Couch, with Ryan Matthews, Dylan Fife, Sam Siggins and Rulla Kelly Mansell rounding out the 22-man squad. He's one of Tasmanian football's success stories, having played at the highest level before returning home to finish his career with Clarence. And after being farewelled from the game on Saturday, Ian Wingnut Kalinin says he wouldn't change a thing. A champion send-off for a Tasmanian football great.
Yeah, that's what probably shocked me. I'm not sure if you're saying, but I did have a little bit of a tear in my eye.
With barely any notice and without fuss, just the way he wanted it, Kalinin called it quits after Clarence's semi-final loss to Launceston at Blunston on Saturday after an amazing career.
Yeah, it's something I've stewed over, probably for the last, probably the second half of the year, really. And I don't really know anything else. I've played footy my whole life. I've got no doubt I could probably go on another season, but at the end of the day, I'd rather finish with something left in the tank and, I'd rather spend some time with my family and, look at the next phase of my life.
One of the state's best prospects as a young footballer, Kalinin followed up a stint in the VFL with the Tasmanian Devils with 10 years in Adelaide, captaining Central Districts in the SANFL and claiming the club's best and fairest while leading the side to several premierships.
I was lucky enough to go to South Australia and win 4 premierships there. Some of my greatest memories of my footy career is playing 100 games with Tasmanian Devils in the VFL.
And in 2011, Kalinin's AFL dream came true. Drafted to the Adelaide Crows as a 28-year-old and playing alongside the likes of Patrick Dangerfield and Sam Jacobs.
Yeah, obviously, I was lucky enough to play. I played 30 games in the end. It was, they played in all probably 30 of them. So, they're terrific guys. I keep in touch with, most of those guys, a fair bit. Obviously Adelaide going right at the moment, and Danger didn't go too well Friday night.
Finishing an envious career with 2 seasons at Clarence, Kalinin has ambitions to coach down the track, but for now is enjoying a well-earned rest from the game.
Just wanted to be the best player I could wherever I played, and lucky enough it panned out all right in the end.
Good evening. Hobart 13 degrees today, Launceston and Burnie 14, Devonport 15. Friendly beaches just can't be beaten at the moment. The high again with 17 degrees. The cold front brought a few showers too today. 8 mils the top fall at Mount Barrow. Flinders Island 16 degrees. St Helens and Campania 15. Wynyard 14. Low Head, Grove, Bushy Park, Strawn and King Island 13 degrees. Lyre, Weenie 7. Now here's the cloud with the front moving across Victoria and Tasmania. Convective low cloud through the Bight with the remainder of the country mostly cloud-free. The heavier cloud cleared during the day, replaced by that patchy low-level cloud. A low will be to our southeast tomorrow, with a front to the east of the state, a high over South Australia extending a ridge over most of the mainland. West to southwest winds 20 to 30 knots, grading to 30 to 40 knots over southern waters, swells at 6 metres in the west and south. Gale warning from Flinders Island to St Helens Point and from Wineglass Bay to Sandy Cape. A strong wind warning for remaining waters except the upper east coast. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. Also a warning to sheep graziers for many of our grazing districts tomorrow. And for tomorrow, a cold start, showers easing from Hobart, winds easing as well, 13 the maximum. 12 the top for Cygnet and New Norfolk with winds easing as well as the showers, which is good news. For Launceston, possible morning shower, 15 the top, 14 for Devonport, morning shower for Campbelltown and 12. Burnie, a morning shower, 14 the maximum, 13 for Strawn and Smithton. And for St Helens, a possible morning shower, 15 degrees, 14 for Swansea, Fingal. 0 to start the day, 13 later. There's Friday's map. Showers over the north and west extending statewide during the morning. Showers around again as we start the weekend and snow to 400 metres. A cold start to Sunday with widespread frosts followed by a sunny afternoon. Sunny in Perth tomorrow. A few showers for Adelaide, Melbourne and an early one for Sydney. And a mostly sunny but windy 25 in Brisbane.
That's all from the news team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a little bit later. Bye-bye.